Hey guys, my name's Frank, and this is my workshop. Hey guys, welcome back to the workshop. Alright, so I've got a new tool, and I alluded to this in a previous video, in the video about the dozer design. Some people in the comments guessed that it might be a CNC, plasma CNC, which I actually have on order, a Langmuir Crossfire Pro CNC machine. And then unfortunately the existing plasma cutter that I have won't work with it since it's got high frequency start, so I had to actually buy another plasma cutter. So all that's coming July, August time frame. You know, there's a lot of videos online about the Langmuir CNC equipment. So, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. I saw it first on Mike Festiva's channel. He uses it a lot. I've never used a CNC, so it'll be a totally new experience for me. I don't expect to make a review kind of video on it because I get a little impatient with the time it takes to actually make a video versus just, you know, using it. And there's lots of, I mean, there's dozens of videos online, so I really don't know that I can add anything to what's already out there. So I don't plan to do that. But I did get the tool that I referred to. It came a week later than I expected, but it's here. And it's in this box. It weighs a couple 100 pounds. I also ordered some accessories for it. I'll show you the accessory here real quick. Alright, so you can tell it's a bandsaw. Those are bandsaw blades. I'll set this aside. So this is, I've been looking at the Grizzly metal cutting bandsaws for, I mean, a year. Looking at, and they have the kind which are freestanding and just the bandsaw head, you know, moves up and down, and you can swivel the vise to do miter cuts, and you know, they run $300–400, and you can get similar saws from everybody. Harbor Freight, you know, everybody makes a very similar kind of bandsaw. I elected to get this swivel head bandsaw. So this is kind of like a miter saw in that the vise stays stationary and the saw moves right and left to make miter cuts. So it's a little more expensive, but I think it's going to be a lot. Well, I don't know. I'm hoping it'll be more useful, a little easier to use. After my experience with the funky vise on that cold cut saw I reviewed a couple weeks ago, I thought maybe I'll dispense with the moving vise and go with the moving saw. So, all right, I'm going to put the camera on a tripod and we'll open this box and see what we've got. All right, so let's see what we got here. Some of these straps. Looks like some sheet metal. This is what you call a do-it-yourself saw. Let's see what else we got here. This side. Got a Grizzly book. Looks like hardware. It looks pretty interesting. Let's check this out. Alright, so we've got motor, pulleys, hand wheel down there. Alright, looks like it's need to get it out of this box. So let's work on doing that. Hand wheel. More wheels. Not sure what that is. I'm not going to pick this up by myself. It weighs 150 pounds. So let me get my engine hoist, and we'll use that to pick it up. This is all cast iron, and you can see the angle adjustment for the head, vise. All right, so let's set it down on the workbench here and work on the stand some. Well, that's interesting. Wasn't expecting it to do that. Let's see. All right, who predicted that the strap would slide like that? Yeah, I was hoping it wouldn't. But with the weight of the motor on that end, this end, it's entirely predictable. So I probably should have used more than one strap, but all right, I found this one bolt in the bottom of the box. Not sure what it goes to. All right, so here's the label. G9742, half horsepower, 1725 RPM, blade speeds 80, 120, 220 feet per minute. Maximum round cut at 90 degrees 5 inches. Maximum width of cut at 90 degrees and 6 inches. Maximum height is 5 inches. All right, cuts 45 degrees right to 60 degrees left. Weighs 150 pounds. Okay. It's got a tensioned, it's interesting, they've got a saw blade on here which is already tensioned. Looks like, this is odd, look at this. Looks like an emergency stop lever over the red button. That's just bizarre. All right. All right, looks like it's got the motor pivots. And here's where the bolt goes. I just see the bolt is missing right here. That's where the bolt goes, right there. All right, so it fell out in shipping. I don't know about. I have to watch that because, well, I guess you can tighten it down. I was going to say the bolt would come apart, come right out of there. right. So put the belt on there temporarily just to see motor position. The capacitor clears the rewired for 110, half horsepower, you know, reset button there. So 1720 RPM. All right, well, let's work on putting the all this green sheet metal together and see what our stand looks like. All right, so let's see what the owner's manual's asking for here. All right, items needed. Items needed for setup. An assistant. That ain't gonna happen. Phillips head screwdriver, standard screwdriver, 6mm Allen wrench, 6, 12, 14, and 19mm open end wrenches, 3/8, 7/16, half-inch open end wrenches. So metric and imperial wrenches required. It's too bad they didn't just stick with one. All right, let's see. Cabinet wheels and feet, shipped with rubber feet. And 2 wheels with an axle. Install the axle and wheels if you need to move the bandsaw regularly. All right, so you got a choice between 2 wheels and 2 rubber feet or 4 rubber feet. I'm going to do the wheels. All right. Let's build the stand. All right, so it says to position the front and rear panels on the base, install the panels to the base with 4 M6 1 by 12 Phillips head screws and flat washers. And there are no Phillips head screws. There are what look like 5/16 machine screws, 1/2 inch head, so that would be 5/16, yeah. And the holes here definitely don't look like they take sheet metal screws. Yeah, again, they're specifying sheet metal screws for assembly, and it looks like they've substituted the machine screws for sheet metal screws, so that's interesting. All right, so since the sling slipped last time, we'll see if we can reduce the probability of that happening. There. There's probably some locking mechanism, but I don't see it. It looks like there was a shipping, this was supposed to be a shipping brace, but I don't see it happening. Pretty close. So they give you bolts to attach it. All right, so I've got it on the stand. I'm going to spend some time reading the instruction manual, and I'll bring you back when I understand how to work it. All right, see you in a bit. Hey guys, I got a few minutes to come back out here to the shop to finish up the review of the bandsaw here. So I followed the instructions in the owner's manual, did a couple of things. I'll show you what I did. I added the stop rod set screw here allows you to turn this to act as a stop if you're doing repetitive cuts. This piece of sheet metal here is supposed to allow small cut-offs to fall into a bucket. At least that's what the instructions say. There is a pin here which will go into this hole when the blade frame is in the up position. So I mean, this is a pretty sloppy fit, but in any case, you lift the blade frame up, you can push this pin into this hole and it'll hold it in the up position. And there's one other adjustment they want you to make, which is the this stop bolt, which is adjustable up and down to control the final position of the saw. There is a hydraulic cylinder here which controls the descent of the saw frame, and it has a shutoff valve and an adjustment, a little needle valve to control flow. So this is the off position. So if I raise the saw frame, it'll stay in the up position, and if you turn it on and adjust the valve, then it begins to descend, and you can control the speed of descent of the frame. All right, so that seems to work pretty smoothly. This little funky lever we looked at when we first unboxed it is actually the shutoff. It's a shutoff lever, and it also works with this adjustable screw here. So you can adjust this screw out so that it shuts off the saw at the appropriate time in its descent. We'll turn it on here, and it's pretty quiet. It sounds it's very smooth in operation. We'll let the blade frame fall, and when it just gets to the bottom of its travel, it does shut the saw off. So that seems to work fine. The tensioning here for the motor, for the belt, is pretty worthless. I have to say, this little thumb screw here exerts, first of all, you can't get any leverage on it because it's hard to reach and it's so small, but it is only an inch away from the pivot point, and it actually, the screw is at an odd angle. So it doesn't really apply any force to tension. Even with it turned in all the way, you can move the motor mount. I think you might just replace it with a bolt and then tension it with a socket or something, because there's no way that this is adequate. The frame it's mounted on is sheet metal, so I mean, even that limits the amount of force that can be applied to tension the motor. And I mean, you'll see that when I turn it on, the motor jerks. So it's pretty tough to tension the belt. All right, so I think that could be fixed with a bolt and a socket. All right, so let's try cutting something. All right, well, let's put our trusty 3/8 by 2 inch stock in here. so in this case it cut off before it was finished cutting. All right, so the screw needs to be adjusted on the off switch. All right, well that stopped. Let's make another cut here. So it did two different things. It did not cut off when it was supposed to, and it stalled in the cut. The belt slipped because you can't really tension the belt with the tensioner they provide. So it needs some fine tuning, clearly. Let's set it up and make another cut. I'm going to adjust the stop down a bit. Okay, it's just stalling in the cut because the belt's slipping, because you can't tension it. Let me do my best here to there's just no way to use the existing tensioning knob to tension the belt. We're going to have to come up with another way to do that. All right, let me look at it and we'll come back in a minute. Okay, so just as a experiment, I put this little wedge of wood in here between the capacitor housing and the frame, which puts some tension on the belt, pushes the, where this thumb screw is useless. All right, so let's try this again. So that wedge, I believe, put some more tension on the belt. So completed the cut but didn't turn off. So try that. Okay, so that cut was successful. All right, so a couple comments now. All right, the vise, I think the vise jaws are too small. It would be better if they were 4 or 5 inches wide. That may be a problem with the mitering. You may not be able to miter if they're much wider, so maybe that's why they're narrow. But they don't have a whole lot of purchase on the stock, so you have to be careful of that. The hand wheel is kind of small in terms of providing leverage. It's only about 3 inches in diameter. Doesn't give you a whole lot of leverage for clamping. So I think, you know, a better handle would give you more leverage, more clamping force, I think would help. In that one cut, the stock moved, which bound up the blade. The blade already is missing some teeth right here. That's interesting. I don't know if you can see that, but there's teeth missing already, and that may be because it bound up in the cut, but that is at the weld right there. So the teeth may have been affected by the welding process. The shutoff switch is a little finicky, so that has to be adjusted. I do like the hydraulic feed control, and that seems to operate very smoothly. So that's a plus. All right, this tray here, I don't know whether it's worth anything. It's kind of chintzy. For a saw that cost $1,000 with shipping, I would have liked to have seen some better belt tensioning, a little better safety switch, a little better vise. I don't know, more leverage on the hand wheel. I mean, I think it's workable. You just have to figure out a way to keep the belt tension so it doesn't slip, so the blade doesn't stall in the cut, which is what it did. You know, the angle, I mean, it moves very, very easily, very smoothly. So I don't think, I don't really think I have a criticism for that at this point. So it has a stop there at 0. So yeah, it's not bad. I mean, in terms of you know, the saw movement, it's smooth. No complaints about that. So there's some things about it which, you know, seem pretty good. It's very quiet. Gearbox sounds good. There's no noise out of that. All right, so I guess the jury is out on this saw. There's a couple things I like. I like the angle adjustment. It's pretty smooth. The hydraulic down feed control is nice. The vise would be better if it had more leverage on the hand wheel, but maybe that's something that can make a better hand wheel for it, or find a bigger hand wheel for it. Might be pretty easy to do that, like master. The belt tensioning method is worthless. It doesn't work. You can't tension the belt as the saw comes. So I'm going to call Grizzly and talk to them about this. I think that's an issue. The cutoff switch, kind of flaky, but I think it can be adjusted, and it seems to work. So I really can't complain about that as funky as it looks, it does seem to work. So I don't know. It's my first experience with a Chinese bandsaw, so it is what it is. Okay, I hope that gives you some information in case you want to look at this saw or thinking about this saw. I don't know. I like the option to be able to angle the blade. I'll have to use it some more to see if that's really makes sense. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to end the video at this point. Thanks guys for watching. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know in the comments. A thumbs up and a like would be appreciated, and a subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. I would appreciate it. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. All right.